Hello my friends, I have here a container of powdered beets or super beets, and what I did was I mixed this with powdered cranberry, and I'm making more because I'm almost out of it. Okay, you can powder your beets, which I have done. I cooked the beets first, and then I went through the dehydration process and then powdered the beets. The only problem is the beets have such a high sugar content. You can see here, this is quite a few dehydrated beets. I can't use it like the powder that comes in these cans here. And the cranberries that I dehydrate powder real well, they mix real well. I mix my cranberries 2 to 1 beets, and I use this container and scoop for measuring. So 1 scoop, which is pretty small, looks like a teaspoon or so, which when you dehydrate and powder, it's really concentrated. So I didn't measure to see what that ratio would be, but it's in there. A little bit of shaking, totally mixed up, and tastes really good. And cranberries known to be real good for your urinary tract. And the super beets, they give it claim for being good for everything. When I dehydrate the cranberries, I tried dehydrating them right out of the bag, and they have a hard shell. Well, that's a wrong term. They have a really tough outer skin, similar to like a blueberry. When you dehydrate blueberries, it takes forever to get the moisture out because the skin locks it in. Same thing happens with the cranberries. So what I found was I would cut the cranberries, but cutting each one by hand, there's a lot of berries to cut, so it takes a long time, and I did that. Then I dehydrated the berries, worked out real well. Then I pulverized them and ran them in my flour mill and made it into a real fine powder, and that's why it dissolves very quickly. And what I mentioned earlier was the cranberries and a lot of times other seasonal things. The cranberries are out in the grocery store around Thanksgiving. In between that time, between Thanksgivings, you're kind of hard pressed to find them, and when you do, they're expensive. The cheapest that I found was $2 a bag. But the next day after Thanksgiving, and I was waiting for this, I went back to the grocery store, and all those $2 bags were discounted to 50 cents a bag. So I bought enough, probably half a grocery cart full, and filled up a shelf in my freezer. So that'll give me probably more than a year's supply of powdered cranberry. So what I'm going to do now is put the frozen berries in the blender and bust them up. I thought about using like a mortar and pestle and crunching them. Haven't tried that. I have the pestle, and for the mortar I was going to use one of my turned wooden mallets. That might work. Maybe I'll give that a try. If not, the food processor or blender should chop them up enough. And then in the dehydrator, I don't want them to fall through. I'll either use my screen or the silicone mat, which I have sitting here, and dry them overnight. Okay, these are the frozen berries. I just pulled it out of the freezer, and I don't know which volume this, but that's what they were selling for $2, and I picked it up for 50 cents. So let's see what this is. My turned mallet for woodworking. I washed it off, so it's clean. Here's a freezer shelf, and the one shelf is filled with cranberries. Okay, I set my mortar on this silicone cutting pad. I don't want, well, I have felt under there. I don't want this on my granite countertop. I would hate to have to be buying a new countertop. Okay, let's just see what this is going to do. That's what I was afraid of. Keeping them in there. Okay, if you can get them crunched like that, that would be adequate. Maybe you need a smaller volume. Yep. Well, it definitely works. Okay, I don't like it jumping, so next I'm going to try my blender and see what that will do. We'll do it half a bag at a time, and we want to pulse it. I have 4 drying trays, so I'll do 1 bag on each tray. Tempted to eat these. I guess I am going to eat them. Well, if you know cranberries, they a little bit sour. I shouldn't have to describe the taste, but what makes a big difference is when you mix that with the beets, and the beets add the natural sugars, makes it very drinkable. Usually when you buy a cranberry juice, they have a sweetener added, or they mix it with another juice. So that's what we're doing. We're mixing it with the super beets. Okay, let's do the other 3 bags and get it on the dehydrator. Okay, look at the tray. It is pretty full, and I will show you this same tray in the morning after it's dehydrated to see how much it had reduced in volume. Here's the first one that I did. This is bag number 2. Now I want to mention, you do not have to have these frozen to chop them up like this. I'm just taking them out of my freezer and doing it. But when you freeze like blueberries or these, it cracks the internal cell structures, and it helps it to dry quicker, helps it release the moisture quicker. So also when I do wine, I usually freeze blueberries and pulverize it then too. Still keep seeing one whole berry jumping around in there. That's why I kept pulsing it. And it looks like more than one berry. We'll just throw those back in. And like I said before, the berries were not drying even overnight if you don't chop them. These were 12-ounce bags. And this is the last one. The center, there's an opening, so I scrape the stream in the middle so that the air can flow up through the center, and then it flows around the sides also. Okay, now we just need to button it up and then turn it on. See you in the morning. While the dehydrator is doing its thing, what I also like to do is flavor my kombucha. So I save the old bottles, and I also save the Grolsch, I think that's how you pronounce it, the beer with the swing top. I don't drink beer, but I buy it for company, and they like drinking the more expensive beer. So it's a win for me because it's about $2 a bottle for the beer, and the bottle then is free. Whoops. Then I'll go in. Okay, let's top it up now. This here is my kombucha, and I do the continuous ferment. And when you do the continuous ferment, you can take some off every day and you just retop it with your sweet tea. And it's great stuff. Quick mix, quick shake. It's great. That just kicks it up another notch. I usually drink the kombucha straight. This really adds to it. But doing the beets, it's great to have this container, and the scoop comes with it. So I would recommend mixing your cranberry with the beets. Should have a super drink, extremely super when it's mixed in the kombucha. Let's wait for tomorrow. I left the dehydrator run overnight and it is completely dried. Let's see how it turned out. Here's the rack. They're all dry, they're hard. Let's get the rest of them in there. Here's 4 bags of dried cranberries, and we're putting it into our food mill. And this may be a little loud. It's got a timer. Make sure I unplug it first. A lot of this is seed. And I think I'll just toss that out. Okay, this is 4 bags, and these were 12 ounces. 12-ounce bags of cranberries. And this is the volume that we have. And this is a pint jar. So not quite 1 pint. Pretty close. And here, this probably holds about a pint. There's a silicone desiccant to keep it dry. You can stick that in the oven or the dehydrator, and it can be reused. And since I'm almost out of this, I'm going to mix this with what I just pulverized. You can see the nice cranberry color. This I'll have to put in the oven to make sure that it's no moisture in there. Right there, now you can see this is mostly cranberry. Give that a shake, mixes up real well. Very good. And 1 scoop isn't a lot of berries. When you look at the volume, this volume, which isn't completely filled, is holding 4 dried bags of cranberries. You can look up the price of dried powdered cranberry, and I believe it's more expensive than dried beets. Beets is a more abundant vegetable than what the cranberries are. So it's a great money saver, real quick, easy to do, and I'm sure there's a lot of health benefits to drinking this. Thanks for watching, my friends. Bye-bye.